Luke 10 verses 36 to 37. Which now of these three, thinkest thou, was neighbor unto him that fell among the thieves? And he said, He that shewed mercy on him. Then said Jesus unto him, Go, and do thou likewise. Through days of sharing, as I'm sure you all know, the Lord Jesus Christ said, He who is not with him is against him. This statement is reasonable. Because at that time, He is the only direction in which the compass points. It means, in the world of men, no other name has been given by which we may be saved. Whoever is not with him and starts anew, it's like messing with the compass. Why would the Lord Jesus say that? For this is God's plan for the age, like Moses, Abraham, John the Baptist, the Lord Jesus, like the New Testament Church. That's why the Good Samaritan exists. That explains why, in all directions throughout the Old Testament, they were all promulgated through books of prophets. Because of the prophets, is the Good Samaritan of the time and the only direction. When combined with the Bible, it becomes our role model. In the New Testament, God makes it more sophisticated and refined. If you look at it from the perspective of the exam question, as the generations passed, the questions are getting more complex every day. In other words, questions from the time of the Lord Jesus, more complex than in Abraham's era, and as for the last days, when the child is born, the exam questions are more comprehensive than those of other women's children's eras. Even more difficult for the previous generations, the last 2,000 years, so He could mold the bride. And when every soul is born, God has chosen them carefully. Those of us born in this age, it's the role of the completer. Because of the ministry, direction, and mission God has given us, it is already a complete living drama in itself. In other words, when we look at Ezekiel, lying on the right side, lying on the left side, baking bread out of man's dung. You can imagine if we were Ezekiel's second man, he has to go back and forth to the public toilets to find ingredients for his bread. This is crazy. The thing is, it was a live drama, for people to know what God is going to do at that time, to judge Israel. To this day, we never dreamed. It turns out that Zion as a whole is one big live drama. And the craziest part is, this includes the fact that at the end of the world, God's teaching of human history. By watching the living drama of Zion, you can learn the whole history of humanity. By contrast, from the lifetime of Ezekiel, Hosea, or Daniel, at best, you can only learn a small part of Israel's history. From the Lord Jesus Christ, you will see the transition from the Old Testament to the New Testament. But when you look at Zion's development over the years, to witness all of God's plans for all of human history, how awesome! It turns out that, without realizing it, through the information chosen and shared, and what they go through every year, it's God's plan for all of human history. At the same time, through this interpretation, allowing us to gradually interpret, know why and why these things happen. Of course, throughout history, people never witness, similar to the level of God's control over this age. Take pulling line, for example. No one has ever seen it before. Even with satellites, if people can't figure out how it works, you didn't know that God was so in control. Until this time, we learned that God's control is so powerful. But only Zion, it can individually analyze the relationship between the stars in the sky and the earth. This was not something we had planned out. We just passively moved to share, complete a set of information, to put it all together. When we look back, suddenly, I found myself like Hosea, Ezekiel, Daniel. It's a live drama, but they're just a fragment. We are the sum of all human history. Finally, a four-horse judgment, also opened by us. This is what makes Zion unique, and how difficult it is. Reasons why other generations couldn't do it. It's not that God doesn't do it for them, but they are powerless. Only Zion's generation can do that. It all started with a little compass. By the divinity of God, the truth, the good, and the beautiful, which God has established, in this labyrinthine world, Zion, armed with a small compass, walked to the end. In the process, the winner performs a complete live drama, and analyzes the progress of human history and God's design. And the bride who finally marries, the history of its rise becomes a monument for the next 1,000 years. Let people know more about God, His greatness, and truth. Luke 10 verses 36 to 37. Which now of these three, thinkest thou, was neighbor unto him that fell among the thieves? And he said, He that shewed mercy on him. Then said Jesus unto him, Go, and do thou likewise.
Come on, generals and warriors of the Lord, our story's about to start. We are young and inexperienced, but we are meant for more, so much more. One by one, bring down the strongholds, each and every one. 7 times we march surrounding Jericho until it falls. One shout and down goes its walls. Our God, who can stand against? None stand a chance. One by one, our enemies shall wither in the sun. By the might of God will fall upon Ai with blazing swords, divided the Jordan. Now unto King